I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. You can get us on dreamchasersradio.com. That's dreamchasersradio.com. You can also tune in on WCCF FM. That's 100.9 FM, all over the internet on iHeartRadio. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in again, and don't go anywhere. We have a great show for you today. Welcome back to the show. Oh my gosh. So you guys know, yeah, I'm actually going to put pen to paper. I got pens. I just have to find paper because guess what I'm getting ready to do? I'm getting ready to write a book, but I'm kind of behind the scenes here. So it won't be like a great book, but my next guest has a great book and we're going to talk about that today. Please tell everybody who you are and what you do, please.
Well, look, thank you so much, Yaya, for inviting me on your site and your radio talkback or whatever. It's a great honor. And also, I'm 70 and quite shy. Oh. And yeah, so talking about it, I'm so passionate about this book, so I would love to talk about it. So thank you for this invite. I feel very honored to be here. Awesome. So the start of the book, my English is appalling, but my maths is fantastic. So when I was 3, I woke up with this voice in my head, remember who you are. And it was a real stormy night. And it's like, wow, I'm scared. I'm at the bottom bunk, sister at the top bunk. And I'm very cold and I'm afraid because of the thunder and lightning and too scared to get out of bed because the alligator's going to eat my feet and everything. And then this voice boomed up, remember who you are. Oh, gee, he's talking to me. And he said, use your mind. I said, I'm only 3 years and 3 months. So I created the fire inside of my body and instantly blankets were thrown off and no longer in fear. That was my awakening. And from through my life, I have never felt like I fit into society. No, people hear voices, see things, or this higher intuition, which they call, it's natural to humanity. So through my life, I felt that I didn't fit into society. Understanding now at 70, looking back, nothing that we do in our life is by accident. Right. I'm also trained as a naturopath. I've done hypnotherapies. I do the Life Between Lives by Michael Newton, which really started to push me into this line of where I am today. I've done so many different workshops, always searching for the truth because I'm extremely analytical and skeptic. So later on in life, I went through school and came out and got on with life. And, you get married and then this voice said, you will give up Auckland, go to Auckland and train to be a hypnotherapist. Husband gets a transfer up there. And I'm thinking this is like manipulation somehow. So half year later, I moved up to Auckland. I gave up. I'm now here of service. I'm listening to that voice you can call God, whatever. I call it spirit. And so I started on this journey of working with people's minds. And then I got the calling to do a speech thing over in Sydney, so to try and remove my shyness. Then I went back and I learned the Michael Newton, where you take someone to a lot deeper level of consciousness. And I feel that this is my forte because unfortunately I have great memory. So the first part of my book is about how you might help understand children that are seeing things or don't fit into society. Don't push them away. Understand that we're all awakening to our spirituality, to who we truly are. And so that's why I call it, Who Are You? So that's the first part of my book. But the second part's the interesting part. It's lots of little stories because I'm thinking, why is it I'm very connected to Moses or somebody or other, you sit there and you're thinking about this. So I started my traveling to different countries where I would get a group of people to help pay for the top Egyptologists, say for Egypt, or the man who's done 26 years studying, and he teaches the Mayan culture in the University of Mexico. So my guides have to be well educated, because what I've got is a gift or a hurdle that I can regress into the past. And that's what I've been doing all my life, but you keep it quiet because you get ridiculed. And I have been ridiculed and ostracized from my family, but now they're understanding, especially my husband, who is now my top supporter. So just give me an example of one of them, which really blew my mind, was when I knew I had to go to Mexico. So I got hold of this company, and Miguel has done the 26 years studying and teaching at the university on the Mayan culture. So he was our guide. And we went to a place called Yaxchillan, which is on the river, and then you go up onto the land, where it's so ancient. But to go through, you have to go through a like an archway onto the sacred, very ancient piece of land. But I couldn't, because I'm always at the back of the group watching. It was like walking through concrete, and people saw this, and one lady come up and said, well, if I change my frequency, because she's acting like a 10-year-old, if I change my frequency, you can jump in behind me. And I said, oh yes. Now my girl saw this, so he's learned by now that I'm a bit different. And I got into the land, so we did the ceremonies, and this is right, Gal, I'd like you to meditate if you don't mind. So I sat on these very ancient steps and had the most amazing experience. And I'd like to share this if I could have a couple of minutes, because I think it's actually quite interesting to what's going on in this world right now. Definitely. Because Earth is cyclic. And it's in like cycles of a cycle. So there's 7 minor to major cycles. You know, the end of Lemuria, Atlantis, and all those sort of places is actually factual. So what has happened is, this is just one I'm going to share, is in my meditation, he asked me then, what did I get? And I said, well, you can't evict me, but I was an ET child, being down Scotty. The 3 elders were reteaching humanity because they'd lost all memory, but that was like an end of a cycle. So it's like pulling the plug out of the computer or your USB stick, and the whole world starts off again. And the elders were reteaching, but me being a young child, I was allowed to go down with them and play with the children, and then at night beam up Scotty and tell them exactly what I'm experiencing. Until one day I heard they said, humanity is misusing this information, we're not going back again. So I decided to hide, and I stayed. And they just left you there, because that level of understanding don't have what's right or wrong. Everything just is. So it's your choice to do whatever you believe in. So it's the people listening to this, it's their choice to believe me or not. But I can assure you, the second part of my book, there's lots and lots and lots of stories. In Egypt, I have a top Egyptologist that he says, Gail, can you do this? Can you do that? So this is the thing that somehow or another I have been given that particular gift. I feel very honored with it. Now, the third part of the book, it's a lot more technical about cycles of Earth and so on. So the DNA, how the DNA was brought in, it's about Moses and the Ark. So I'm not religious as such, I call myself spiritual, as I believe you're either a good person or a bad person. So that's my book, and it's my job to try and awaken people. So that's why that book has taken me 4 years to write, because it's like opening up your Pandora's box. It hasn't been easy, and people look at you and think she's nuts, or some people just want to own you. Been quite difficult, but never mind.
Well, I do believe that people have different gifts, and people have different callings. And so I don't look at anybody in a, I want to interview everybody. So
well, yes, that's what I do too. I wish I could spell. You know, my typing was atrocious. If you remember who you are, that's why it's no longer, because my typing, I can't type.
No. Well, you did a great job. And I wanted to ask you a question. Do you believe that you were here before, or do you believe in past lives?
Yes, yes. The one in Yaxchillan, when I told Miguel, he says, why did you hire me? I said, because you've been studying the Mayan culture for 26 years. He says, yeah, that's right. I says, that's why I hired you, is because I'll tell you what I got. And, you know, the being down Scotty, the UFOs, how many people are starting to awaken? There has to be another intelligence out there.
Oh, yeah.
And he confirmed it. And then he said something that really stuck me up for quite some time.
Wow.
He said, you know, if you know between the Sphinx and the Paws, there's Stella, okay, in Egypt. Well, there was a Stella not far from where we had done this little ceremony. And he says, come with me. And I thought, oh. He says, why did you hire me? I said, because you're educated and you can read that. He says, that's correct. He said, would you like me to read that? I said, yeah, that'd be nice. You know, I really read it and I'm saying, I don't want to hear. And what it was a record from the villages, and this is a very ancient village, who had written on a stela that over 500,000 years ago, a higher level of consciousness of beings had visited Earth, and then they stopped coming. And it's all in the stela. And he says, I can read it. We've been able to interpretate it. Now, I'm not stupid. I'm very analytical. And there was a little bit in my story that I hadn't shared with him. Now, my confirmation of this story, it makes me quite emotional, sorry, is that he read it on a stela. And I'm thinking, oh, you know, where's the gin and tonics? You know, I need spirits in a bottle, you know. It's like, I can't handle this, you know, because there's enough to do once he did. So I actually have been here 500,000 years ago, because time is part of our human illusion.
Right.
And I remember a lot of Egypt, because I was a bit of a wolf, you know, I had no parents and what have you. And I used to give the guy Akhenaten, who bought in, so he's another interesting story. And he took me on board because I used to go and cheek, and he thought I was a little bit of a fun. So I was this little lap dog and run around after him and everything. And I have had meditation where he's come in, and I got some information while I had someone else under, because the skepticism, I had someone under in Christchurch, and she says, oh my God, I'm the incubator for Tutankhamun. Now, this is where the Egyptologists like me going, because I can regress. And I know where the daughter is, that Aki, I call him Aki for short, they lost a daughter, and a top Egyptologist called Lotfi. So Gail, can you go and have a look in here? And I said, sure. And this is, we're looking for the body of the second daughter. And I said, not here. But every one of the group found out, but I kicked all the Egyptologists and everybody out of the tomb and said, this is sacred. Now, Akhenaten's given me a lot of proof on this. So in my analytical mind, I think we all should be analytical, always questioning. My book, I'm hoping, will get people to question. Don't be gullible and believe everything that you're told. And it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or a Buddhist, or, you know, because I've been to the top of Tibet, you know, I've searched. So that's my second part of my book.
Right. Wow.
Did that answer your question? Did
No,
that answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know, I was like thinking about that, because you were talking about regressing, and the only way I can consider a person to be able to regress is if they had something to regress to. And so, I mean, that's the reason we do, but yes, definitely you did answer my question. So hypnotherapy, tell me about that. And you have that in your book, the power of our minds. That's a big thing. Like you were saying a minute ago, how time is an illusion, and it truly is. I mean, you can split it however you want to split it. Literally, most people go with the 24 hours, 7 days a week, but how about 12 hours? How about 6 hours?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? How about morning and evening? How about the full day and at night you sleep? I mean, does it have to necessarily be hours? Can't it be time frame of sun up, sun down? I mean, it is an illusion, to say the least, but the power of our minds. Tell me about that.
Okay. As a naturopath, which was 4 years studying, by the tutor was actually teaching doctors, so she was a very high up boom, you know, very hard. And then I started training to be a nurse because my ambition was to actually own my own geriatric home to look after old people, because I love old people, and I think, you know, they're just sitting in a room waiting for God, or whatever you want to put it. So I'm regressing here. Sorry, my brain's just gone crazy. So this understanding about the mind. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought here. What was the question? Well, I'm sorry, I have to be honest. I've had concussion, and because there's 5 in my group, and 2 men have been murdered, and they've tried to have a couple of goes at me. So every so often the brain sort of flips into another level. So forgive that. Yeah. So
It's okay.
what was the question again? Sorry.
We're talking about the power of the mind in the
Yes.
book. Yeah.
Yes. So the mind is, and when I've done all my studies of it, we're only using 3 to 5% of it. And the tutors at nursing at the college couldn't understand some of it. So we went into the doctor's library to research it. I also have a doctor who I'm going to write another book on. His name's Dr. Dinesh, and his story is very interesting too. You know, why have we got 100%, you know, brain? So by getting into hypnotherapy, it opens up the door for a trained therapist to go in and ask questions. So to me, if you can use your mind, the mind is all powerful. So I've been using it to create petrol in my car, because what is life is an illusion. Okay, well, if you say life is an illusion, let's put it. So getting into the mind, we're only using 3% of our brain. So why are we only using 3% of our capacity of our brain? You know, there's a lot more, because it's not sitting on cloud 9. We incarnate with everything within us. But the thing is, you have a huge room of library. Here's an analogy. And you only want to read certain books. You don't read all the other books. Okay. So the mind is only going to allow you to remember certain parts that you've incarnated to do, like to pay back karma. I do believe in karma. So, okay, I've got to clear this karma by speaking my truth is one of my karmas, and also a few others. So by the use of hypnotherapy, you can hypnotize for giving up smoking. That I'm not really into all that, because it's simple. Everybody's out there doing it. But with the life between lives, which is Michael Newton, we take them to a lot deeper level of consciousness, super consciousness. And that's when the therapist picks out what the client has been wanting to know. Like, why have I been born into this family? Why am I born poor or wealthy? Well, but with me, we're not just getting their answers for them. I have been given the tools to get them to another level of consciousness, which is getting more into the spiritual aspect of it. Because to me, in my opinion, Earth is cyclic, right?
Right.
Atlantis, Lemuria. This one is an experiment. It's about us. And it's about us saying, hey, sister, it's nice to meet you. There's no color, there's no religion, there's nothing. We are all one people. We're called beings or humans, okay? Right. And in the next level of consciousness, which is we're in what they call third dimensional stuff, fourth is in between, which I feel that here we're going to be weeded out. And I was told we would be weeded out in February, so that was a bit scary when I'm seeing this COVID. So everything they're telling me is factual. I drew the short straw in this life. So with the Michael Newton hypnotherapy, I'm getting even to be able to do it on Zoom, which is interesting, which is what Nostradamus predicted in 1500s, that technology be our savior, but also be our downfall. So by having someone under, I then want to say, you know, ask their questions, you know, have they had a past lifetime with their husband or wife or family, or why do I feel so connected like me? My last lifetime was an Aboriginal stolen bride. Why do I feel so comfortable, and I'm more at home in Australia than I am in New Zealand? So going to Ulu to presentation is like I'm going home. So with a lot deeper level of going into this to open up more than 3% of the brain capacity, and I love Morgan Freeman's stuff that he does. that you can go and say, okay, we need to remember that little piece. Because what you do, if you murder someone in this lifetime, you're going to come back to be murdered, to have that experience.
Wow.
If you are wealthy and you don't share your wealth, you will come back to feel what it's like standing on the side of the road begging. So, or you might be the beggar that is there to have that experience to see if they can change. Now, I've been playing around with my mind thinking, because I'm, really analytical.
Mm-hmm.
If we have disability, how else can we use our mind to help other people?
Mm-hmm.
So in my many years now, I've been using my mind where I can hook into someone if you see them on the street and instantly know that that person needs someone to talk to. They may be suicidal or whatever. So the money that I earn goes to charity. Now, because I'm giving my money away, you want to see what comes back into my drawers, and I don't know where it comes from. So I believe in miracles, but I also believe 150% that this lifetime is so important. It's about us connecting. And Nostradamus said technology be our savior. So this is why you and I can talk and communicate. So there's no distance, there's no time. Everything just is an illusion. So the pictures in my book are priceless, because I said in my analytical mind, if you're going to get me to write this, I need some help here, because I'm going to be treated, as you know, my family said I'm delusional, my parents and family, okay. So now they're looking at me thinking, okay, she drew the short straw. Maybe in a past lifetime I was not accepting or being judgmental to someone who is what I'm doing this lifetime. So everything has to be balanced. But in my opinion, this lifetime is the most important lifetime that humanity has ever had, because we've got this opportunity to go into another level of consciousness. Watch Morgan Freeman, some of his presentations brilliant, especially that last part of the movie called Lucy. It's not a nice movie, but he's talking about the capacity of the brain. He's very technical.
Right. Yeah, I saw that, Lucy. I saw that where she turned into a computer at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. That was an amazing movie. I like that movie. I've seen it more than once.
Yes.
I truly believe, just out of just pure curiosity, I think most people don't realize, where were you before you got here?
Oh, well, gee, where was I?
Right. So no, it's the question of, it's more of a question of, people are afraid of death, but I mean, I'm telling you, before you were alive, you were dead, but you were dead to this body. So where were you? That's the question I always like to ask people, to get them out of the fear of death, because literally they can't really tell me where they were, except for one person. One person told me that they were in hell, that their body that they had before was on fire and they hated it.
Okay, right. This is the good and the bad, because, we're not the only beings. Earthies been given the freedom of choice. Okay. Now, if you, could say it's like a nightmare. What creates nightmare? It could be food or anything. Now, when I go home, as I call it, I don't go to heaven. I go somewhere different, okay? It's like I go home to a spacecraft. I've visited many spacecrafts, all right? There is a set of books that I would like to share if people would like to get hold of them. They're done by the Eden Church, and they're called the Left Behind series. And it's amazing, because the last 3 books explain it in a very non-technical way, that you're just reading a book. There's about 20 books in the series, and you just can't put them down. I thought, wow. So when a person dies, okay, they've had, in my group, there's five. One guy had to move out of Auckland because he knew he'd be killed. He was. Another one moved out. He had an accident, ended up in a wheelchair, never had to walk again. And God said, remember who you are. He got up and walked out. He got back into his truck, had another accident, ended up back in Atara, and they said, we told you, we don't understand these things. And in the end, he got the word again, get up. and get on with your work. So he did. Now, he had gun choppers. Him and I used to what I call cross-pollinate and work on each other, because we all need healing and, you know, counseling. And he had gunshots in his wagon. Someone was trying to kill him. Now, who are they? Okay, so this is the duality. I see negative spirits. Now, I've had so many near accidents, and the last one that threw me off a deck, then threw a 5K wood at my head and a plant that I couldn't even pick up, trying to kill me. So, you know, there are demons walking amongst us. You don't have to go to hell. So where does these thoughts come from? They've got to come from someone. So in the beginning, there was no reincarnation. Now there is. So what we sow, so will we reap. So this is where the reincarnation comes. If you're a nice person, you will come back and not have to pay back karma or a lesson. So where do people go when they die? Most people that I've worked with have come out of their LVLs and said, was that all it was? There was no fear, no nothing. It just, well, where did you go? They were out of their body before they took their last breath. This is common, okay? So I was out of my breath before I was pushed off a deck and, you know, straight down onto concrete, you know, okay. I haven't had any issues except a little bit of the concussion where your memory is bad news. So they've been trying to wipe me out. And so really, I've had 4 more pushes and falls and things. And at that particular time, I would say that when someone's ready to pass over, they're actually out of their body. And it can be a most amazing place of bliss, peace. And there's usually like passed over family relations come to visit you and welcome you to that level of consciousness. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Goody. So it's what the person as an individual. Now, if that individual, like say if I went out and I didn't share my wealth or whatever I've got to share, and I was an absolute, excuse me, French, arsehole, kicking everybody, being nasty, then what I'm creating is my next lifetime where I have to have that experience. Now, sometimes people have got to go and to be the negative to give someone a positive experience. So on the other side, it's non-judgmental. Okay. So to me, I'm hoping that people read my book will awaken them that there is nothing to be afraid of except the life that you've lived today. You know, be a nice person. You've got nothing to worry about.
That's right.
The people that meet you, I don't see them as angels. They're usually people in white. They're just lovely. And you're usually counseled. Like you go to a council, so I'll shut my eyes so that I can keep concentrating here. And every person has a different counselor. So some people have 3, some had 20, but most of the clients I attract have about 3 counselors. Now there's the angelic realm, like the Melchizedek. So Lord Melchizedek is the overlord of our planet, if you're into that. Don't believe that I go to church every week, you know, I believe in spirituality, not religion. So then you can have different counselors. And that's when I would say, my clients got me questions, so let's talk. And it's all on tape. I come across another lot of counselors, depending on the client, and they're the ETs. And it's like, there's no, it just is, get on with it, you know, they're hard to work with. And you're singing, oh, I'm only trying to do the best for my client. Then there's another one I've come across, and I've only had 2 clients for that. And it's like, I don't know who they are or where they're from. But it's not easy because the communication is not through the voice, it's through the mind. So that's the hard people to get. But most people, the angelic, so when they pass over, everyone says, oh my God, I'm out of my body, look down, you know, have you had an out of body experience? Oh, wow, you know, look who's come to my funeral. You know, people, I haven't seen them for a while. And sometimes they will scratch because if they can make their presence known that they're there. And some of them are saying, I'm out of here, hallelujah, because life not easy, is it? It's like bloody hell, it's getting really hard. And they go straight to, and they're met by what we call a guide. Now the guide can be an angel, whatever you envisage, it doesn't matter, it's just a being. And they will take you into a counselor chamber where I'm allowed to, as a therapist, to go in, and being psychic, it certainly has given me tools that I am now grateful for, where before it's been a hurdle, it's just amazing. It's a gift. And
Wow.
okay, I drew the short straw. So everybody who goes to a different counselor, and it's like different, but the people who are what they call locked in purgatory, which I hate, is because they've had no understanding of where they're going, and they're floating around, and they become like my work we called Arcanite, and it's in my book where he's very tall. So they created this house with very high ceilings. You know, he floats in and out, and I'm seeing things all the time. So it's up to the person. And if I would give them any advice, please live your life to the best of your ability. Do not judge nobody. Only look in the mirror and judge that person. Do the best you can. Be kind, as Jacinda says. Share your wealth, whether it's knowledge, money, share your friendship. Right? To be the best person you can. Do not judge those who are here to kick your butt and to give you lessons of having your car pinched or written off or whatever, but to learn forgiveness and so forth. But doesn't mean to be say that you should be gullible and give everything away, you know, so it's a balance. And it's when you write your contract out, your name, who your parents are going to be, to give you your DNA. So we talk about the DNA, which was brought in. Anyway, it's in the book. And then you pick everything. So with your counsel, I need to go back. I need to be brought up with a very poor family to teach me about being poverty, so that when I have the money, I give. And the more I'm giving, the more the money's coming to me. It's called magic. It's amazing. But I only get exactly what I need for my work. No more, no less.
Right.
So everybody is on a level that they have chosen. And it's not for anybody else to judge them. So this is why what is your reality is, well, what are you creating? So the pictures tell 1,000 words. That's why I've done the book, instead of remembrance now, who are you? With the color pictures, it's a lot bigger book. There's a lot more information about Earth cycles and Atlantis and Lemuria and everything. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Wow. And where can people find you? Where can people find the book?
We're just getting onto it because, as I understand, 4 years I've been pretty slow, and the brain hasn't been working, trying to stop me doing my work. We've put it back onto Amazon.
Okay.
And I'm doing now Zoom. I'm being told to do meditations live on a Monday night, which I've just started because it's the end of the year. This is where technology be our savior, which Nostradamus predicts. So we can talk on Zoom. We can talk on like radio. We can do all sorts of things now through this technology. It's just opened up the world now.
Definitely.
But to get the book, so I've actually just ordered the book yesterday to get some copies, so they can get in touch with me, or they can, and if they can get in touch with me, quite happy. It's called speedwelloutextra.co.nz, and I can say, right, you can go to folio printing, but it's on Amazon. And because of the cost of all this, and the money's just been going out the door with this book, I haven't got it on Kindle. To be honest, I don't like Kindle. Because to me, I like to read a page a couple of times, and I love highlighting and scribbling and saying, wow, you know, so this book's full of information. So that's what I like, and it's a bit heavy, so it's a big book for what it's being done. It's 3 books in one. Amazon. But I'm on to that now.
Awesome. So we're going to have all that information in our description box below. So all you have to do is click on it. It'll take you straight there if it's highlighted. If it's not highlighted, just go ahead and copy and paste that into your browser. Click enter. It'll take you straight there. Miss Nicholls, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. You have such great information. And I mean, you've taken me through a journey. And the journey was really, really interesting to me. What I've learned from this interview is that you can't really be scared of your past, but you can only look forward to your future, and your present should always be conscious. Thank you. And thank you so much again for being on the show. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to Dream Chasers Radio. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys.
Okay, thank you.
I dare to be different. 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 I dare.